Breaking: Benjamin Netanyahu just sent Britain a 3S sentence threat that ended 75 years of friendship. A nation that abandons its allies in their hour of need should not expect friendship in return. Then he did something no Israeli leader has ever done. He banned Britain's entire government from entering Israel. Every official, every minister, every representative, complete lockout. And within 6 hours, he cut off all intelligence sharing that's been protecting British lives for decades. This isn't diplomatic tension. This is a security crisis. 4 days ago, Keir Starmer made 2 decisions that destroyed the most important alliance Britain has had since World War II. And now Britain is paying the price in ways most people don't understand yet. Here's exactly what happened and why your safety depends on understanding this. Starmer backed international criminal court arrest warrants against Israeli leaders. Then he announced a total arms embargo on Israel, not just offensive weapons, everything, including the defensive systems that intercept rockets before they hit schools and hospitals, but the decision that turned this into a full crisis. Starmer didn't tell his own government. Dame Barbara Woodward, Britain's ambassador to the United Nations, found out about her country's policy from an Israeli diplomatic protest, not from London, from the nation filing a complaint. She learned Britain's official position by reading Israel's objection to it. She submitted her resignation letter that same night, and that was just the beginning. If you want to follow how this unfolds, hour by hour, subscribe now, because what comes next will change everything you think about Britain's role in the world. David Lammy, Britain's Foreign Secretary, was flying to Tel Aviv for scheduled diplomatic meetings. The plane was over the Mediterranean when Israeli air traffic control sent the message, landing clearance denied, just cancelled, no negotiation. Flight tracking apps captured the entire route in real time. The aircraft turned around mid-flight. A foreign minister of a G7 nation rejected like an overbooked airline passenger. Diplomats across the world watched it happen live on their screens. At 9 p.m. Jerusalem time, Benjamin Netanyahu stood before cameras. His entire security cabinet stood behind him in silence. He spoke 3 sentences, that's all. A nation that abandons its allies in their hour of need should not expect friendship in return. The broadcast ended. No questions, no clarification. Within 6 hours, Israel suspended all major intelligence sharing frameworks with Britain. Programs worth billions of pounds. Partnerships built over 75 years, gone overnight. Now, let me tell you what that actually means for people living in Britain today. Over the past 3 years, Israeli intelligence stopped 17 planned terror attacks on British soil. 17 attacks that would have killed British citizens. That protection just ended. Israeli cybersecurity teams actively monitor Britain's power grids, water treatment systems, and financial networks against foreign hacking and sabotage attempts. That monitoring is being withdrawn right now as you're reading this. Here's a real example. Michael Green's daughter is alive because in 2021, Israeli intelligence intercepted communications about a kidnapping plot targeting her. They shared that information with British authorities in time to stop it. That cooperation, that system that saved his daughter's life no longer exists for British families. Mossad sources are now classifying British officials as security risks, not potential risks, active security risks. Former MI6 chief Sir Alex Younger called this the worst foreign policy decision Britain has made since the Suez Crisis in 1956. Lord Robertson, former NATO Secretary-General, said Britain just lost its most valuable intelligence partner in the most dangerous region on Earth. These aren't politicians with agendas. These are the people who spent their entire careers building the security system Starmer just demolished with 2 policy announcements. And the damage is spreading beyond just Britain and Israel. Saudi Arabia and the UAE, both partners in the Abraham Accords peace agreements with Israel, have quietly expressed sympathy with Israel's position. In closed Gulf Cooperation Council meetings, ministers are asking whether Britain's security guarantees mean anything anymore. If Britain abandons Israel under political pressure, Would they abandon us when tested? That's the question Arab diplomats are asking right now. Now, in private conversation, Jordan is asking the same question. Decades of relationship building across the Middle East have been shredded in a single news cycle. Think about what that means. Britain is now distrusted by Arab states and Israel simultaneously. A two-front diplomatic disaster that leaves Britain isolated in one of the world's most critical and dangerous regions. That isolation is real. It's happening now and it has immediate consequences. Financial markets reacted within hours. The pound dropped against the shekel. 30 billion pounds in annual bilateral trade is now under serious review. British technology companies are being removed from Israeli innovation projects overnight. The hashtag Britain betrays allies is trending across social media platforms. And on British streets, Jewish communities are asking one simple, chilling question. Without Israeli intelligence protecting us, who keeps us safe now? Inside number 10 Downing Street, panic is replacing policy. Defence Secretary John Healey called the decision strategically suicidal during an emergency Cobra meeting. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper was reportedly overheard warning colleagues. We've made Britain a target without protection. WhatsApp groups inside the National Security Council now have names like foreign policy disaster and damage control. Government insiders aren't debating whether this was a mistake anymore. They're debating how catastrophic it will become. Then came the leak that made everything worse. MI5 threat assessments now circulating inside Whitehall warn that Iranian-backed proxy groups are already probing for gaps created by the intelligence freeze. These classified reports point to planned operations timed specifically to exploit Britain's new blind spots. Read that sentence again. British lives are now at higher risk because of a decision sold to the public as moral clarity and international leadership. Rishi Sunak sees the political opening and he's taking it. He's positioning himself as the restoration candidate. His message is brutally simple. Britain must stand with its democratic allies or it will stand alone. And the polling reflects a massive shift in public opinion. Conservatives surging into the 50s, Labour collapsing into the teens as national security has become Labour's bleeding wound and it's getting worse by the day. Washington is watching this meltdown with barely concealed fury. The CIA depends on the Britain-Israel intelligence triangle to track terrorist threats across the Mediterranean, North Africa and into Europe. That network just fractured. One senior American intelligence official said it bluntly to reporters, "If we're forced to choose between London and Jerusalem, we already have." Mike Pompeo, former CIA director and Secretary of State, went even further in a television interview. Britain is choosing irrelevance over influence. History will not be kind. For a nation that has prided itself on global leadership since World War II, those words cut deep. Inside NATO headquarters, France is openly questioning British reliability. Poland, which depends heavily on British security guarantees as a frontline state facing Russian aggression, is asking privately whether Britain would abandon them too under political pressure. These aren't abstract diplomatic concerns happening in some distant conference room. These are questions being asked right now in every allied capital that once trusted the United Kingdom without hesitation. That trust is evaporating in real time. The economic damage is immediate and severe. Israeli venture capital funds have frozen British investments overnight. £4 billion in technology partnerships are being redirected to American and European firms. The City of London, long a magnet for Israeli tech companies seeking stock market listings, is hemorrhaging credibility. Cancer research collaborations, pharmaceutical development projects, joint defence contracts. Industry analysts are projecting losses exceeding £100 billion across biotechnology, cybersecurity and defence sectors over the next 5 years. Britain's economic arteries are being cut and it's entirely self-inflicted. Inside Israel, the consequences are personal and total. British students have been expelled from Israeli university exchange programs. Joint research laboratories shut down. British journalists are being denied entry to government press briefings. The British embassy in Tel Aviv, once a central hub of Middle East diplomacy, is now effectively frozen out of all meaningful contact with Israeli government officials. A senior Israeli diplomat explained it plainly to international media. This isn't retaliation, it's demonstration. We're showing the world exactly what happens when trust breaks at this level. Without Israeli intelligence, Britain loses its ability to track Iranian nuclear weapons development in real time. Hezbollah troop movements in Syria disappear from British radar. Hamas financing networks operating inside Europe go unmonitored. ISIS cells once traced by Israeli cyber surveillance teams slip back into the shadows. And here's the critical point that nobody's talking about. That gap cannot be filled. Not by America, not by European partners. The intelligence Israel provided was unique, irreplaceable, built on decades of human networks and technical capabilities that